this thing on? This thing is on. Okay, I'm not going live. I'm going to record this. Delving into subject matter I know very little about, but some things were said that I do know stuff about. So I'm going to comment factually, or at least as I understand it, on the things that I'm aware of that some people don't seem to be aware of. But as far as who did what, I don't know. I can only speak to what I see being said. Okay, this is Smurf Watch Transparency. We know him as Bao. And I don't know what the hell he's watching here, but he's about to introduce Shaun Porter. Shaun Porter, those who've been around YouTube for a while, used to do videos with Benghazi Rabbit. An interesting character in himself, but let's get into it. That is.
Yeah, hell yeah. Ooh, I got Shaun backstage. Hold on, all right. We gotta stop this shenanigans. I got Shaun back here. Hold on. Hey Shaun, can you hear me? How's it going? Oh, I'm muted out. Goddamn.
Okay, this guy is Shaun Porter. I have no idea who Bad Badger is. Shaun Porter used to do YouTube videos with Benghazi Rabbit. And unfortunately, I guess recently, the wife of Benghazi Rabbit is no longer alive.
Damn it. Hey Shaun, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Awesome, man. Thank you for coming on and speaking with me.
Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah. I saw your discussion with Jersey Watcher. I believe.
No, I don't even know who Jersey Watcher is.
And No Name Coder.
Yes, it was a good conversation.
Don't know.
Yes, I heard most of the things you said, and I'm just curious on how you know where your conviction. You seem convinced, like you seem like you know this as a matter of fact. And
yeah, I know for a matter of fact, you don't tell four different people 4 different versions about how you found your wife of 3 months who happened to be rich while you didn't even own a car that worked, dead. There's no way that you would have 4 different versions of the events of the most significant, traumatizing thing you'd ever seen in your life occurring.
Okay, that is where he's wrong. I don't know how she died. I don't know if she was murdered or suicide or accident. I really know nothing about this. But I do know firsthand, if what do you say, the most traumatizing event in your life. I do know for a fact that when you experience trauma, the highest trauma of your life, you don't remember accurately. Since 1987, there are still things that I see in my mind that are inaccurate with the official record and what other people who were there with me saw, and they collaborate, and I remember things wrong. And even on that day, May 17th and 18th of 1987, the things I experienced because I was in a state of trauma actually translated differently throughout those couple of days. I'm guessing Shaun has never experienced that kind of trauma. Don't know anything about Benghazi Rabbits and his wife's relationship. Hell, I didn't even know he was married until I heard that he lost his wife. But if you choose to marry somebody and you walk in and you find them that way, it's very traumatic.
You wouldn't tell 4 people 4 different stories on the same day.
You very much might. I told a lot more than 4 people different versions of what my mind interpreted in the trauma of May 17th and 18th, 1987, and earlier trauma too. I remember pulling my dad back into a car, and the way I remembered, even though my brother and my mother swear that it was different the way I remember, mom's driving, and in my mind, on the left side of the car, very normal. And I'm behind my father, who's on the passenger side of the car, very normal. And in his drunken rage, he opens the door while she's going down a highway at regular highway speed, and I, in all of 6 or 7 years old, pull him back in. And as much as I would like to forget that day, I'm 60 years old, I still vividly see it in my mind in color. Mom driving on the left side of the car. I'm on the right side in the back seat. Dad is in the right side in the front seat. He opens the door, and I struggle to pull him back in. Here's the thing, verifiable. Mom and brother explained to me that was in England. Yes, it was. And it was an English car, and we're driving on the English side of the highway. So the car's on the left side of the road. Mom is on the right side of the vehicle, and Dad and I, if I'm remembering even that part correctly, are on the left side of the vehicle. But when I close my eyes and I remember that day, I remember it all mirror backwards. Growing up, I forgot that in England, our cars had the steering wheel on the wrong side, and on the highways, we drive on the wrong side of the street. And that is a fact. And when you're driving a Mini Cooper, long before Austin Powers made Mini Cooper famous, they were a made in Britain car, and their steering wheel was on the right. You remember things wrong. You actually experience them with perception wrong. And as the same day unfolds, May 17th and May 18th, 1987, what you just experienced changes in your vivid mind's eye, the way you actually see things. So, Shaun, you're wrong. And I suspect because you made that claim that you've never experienced that level of trauma. Let's continue.
That's not how the real world works.
It is, but okay.
How did you initially, I guess, start to think that, hey, this is what happened? Like, what was your first hint of, like, hey, something might be wrong here?
When the rabbit called me and told me that she was gone, and the only thing he was concerned about was fixing my recollection of the events that led up to her death. He wasn't concerned about her. What do I do with these dogs now? Oh God, this house is big and it's gonna be empty without her. No, the guy was only worried about the fact that she sent me screenshots proving that he was cheating on her on Tinder and FetLife.
Now, I don't know if he cheated on her. I don't know if there's screenshots. Don't know. None of my business. But I do know, as he just explained, at least I do know his story is that he's talking to Benghazi Rabbit on the phone. He's not there. He's not inside Benghazi Rabbit's mind. Benghazi Rabbit just went through a traumatic experience, and how he expresses that and articulates that, I get it. It's suspicious, but you don't know.
Prior to the murder, and that it was just discovered days prior to the murder, and that she had called everyone, including her father, or Billy's father, and told them all about it.
I don't know who Billy is.
And once you, I guess at that point you're like, yo, I guess you're thinking, yo, this guy murdered her. Like, did you, or did you just, did you like, did you get suspicions? You're like, yo, I gotta find more. I gotta see if what I'm thinking is true. Like, people don't just jump to that right away, right? They try to find other reasons, to give them.
When he first told me, I didn't really compute what he was saying. I was in shock.
So you understand what being in shock is like, and it's not a literal shock; it's an emotional shock. I get it. You're not sure how yourself. Now, you didn't walk in on a body. You didn't lose your chosen life partner. You're just hearing about this over the phone from I don't know what the distance is, and you are in emotional shock. How do we know you're remembering it correctly? We don't. I'm not accusing you. We just don't know.
But he was extremely concerned about people's perception of him and my specific recollection of the events. He tried to say he was not cheating and that he had just created those sites because Andrea was being such a bitch.
Here's the funny thing. If he was not cheating, of course he's going to say, I wasn't cheating. If he was cheating and it comes up, of course he's going to say, I wasn't cheating. Whether he was or was not cheating, his claim that I was not cheating, that claim does not make the cheating a lie or a non-lie unless he was cheating. Again, that has nothing to do with anything as far as I'm concerned. Was he a cheater? I don't know. A lot of guys are. Donald Trump is a cheater. William Clinton is a cheater. Billy Clinton. People cheat. Princess Di cheated on Prince Charles. Prince Charles cheated on Princess Di. Royalties cheat.
And that she was crazy. And, you know, she's always been depressed and all. And she was in pain. So she just decided to end it. Well, she wasn't talking like that the day before she died. She wasn't talking like that on the phone to me 3 days before she died. And she wasn't talking like that.
If you're getting reports and firsthand experience that someone is happy and crazy, sad and joyous and depressed, those are very typical of people who self-delete. I'm not saying that's what she did, but if you're getting mixed reports, if you're getting mixed experience that someone is happy and sad to extreme levels, I think it's referred to as bipolar. And a lot of people with bipolar disorder do end up taking their own lives. I'm not saying she did or didn't, but these are characteristics of people who do.
That an hour and a half before she died.
Robin Williams, for example. You see him on stage, you see him in any of his movies, he seemed like the happiest guy on the planet. He unalived himself.
To her best friend in Ohio. So, you know, the guy's just making shit up. And I mean, it's easy to spot a liar because the dude's telling a different story to each person that he speaks to.
One, it's easy to spot a liar. Hell, 49% of voters voted for Trump. Turn that back. Oh shit, it's time for work.
It's easy to spot a liar because the dude's telling a different story to each person that he speaks to.
Again, when you've experienced trauma, you're going to remember things differently until your mind settles down. And when your mind settles down, you might remember it wrong.
And apparently when he informed the father, he called and said, I just wanted to let you know Andrea's gone. And he's like, what do you mean? She's gone. She's dead. Like,
and remember I told you about my father when he was drunk? My father went through recovery through AA. He divorced my mom. And when my father died, he was somebody that I was very close to, loved very much. We had a strange relationship for a long time. My brother had a very strange relationship for a long time. But at the end, amends were made. Bridges were being rebuilt. Walls were being torn down. And when he was gone, my brother called me and he said exactly that. He's gone. What do you mean he's gone? He's dead. In that tone of voice. He wasn't hateful. He may have been numb. It's very common to be numb when you lose somebody close to you like that.
Like really cold, no.
People often confuse cold with numb. I'm emotionally numb. I'm cold. It gets a lot of people in trouble in court. I think Shaun should leave this up to the police and the courts. Whatever may or may not be going on, you apparently are no good judge of character. You're no good judge of emotions. And you certainly are no good judge of trauma.
Empathy, sympathy, no, nothing, just cold and heartless. Just like his actions on denying the family getting any of her ashes sent to Ohio. He refused to allow any portion of the ashes to go with the family because the father had asked the funeral home for some of the ashes to bring his daughter home to Ohio, and the Benghazi Rabbit would not allow it.
Okay, I don't know where Benghazi Rabbit lived or his wife. I do know he did a lot of his stuff in Rockville, Maryland and Northern Virginia. He also did stuff in North Carolina. I don't know. But I do know this about Virginia. As far as cremation and what happens to the ashes, if the person is married, is 100% solely. Nobody else has any say in the matter. 100% the spouse. The spouse just lost somebody. They had them cremated. What do they do with the ashes? Again, 100% up to the spouse. Now, if the deceased is not married in Virginia, you have to get a sign off from each of the surviving next of kin. Holly recently lost her sister in February. She had to go to all of her living siblings and get permission to have her cremated. And she has to get permission from all of her living siblings on what to do with the remains. Had Gina been married to this crazy fucker, nobody in the family would have any say. And that guy might have an emotional bond that he wants the ashes in a certain place. And by at least Virginia law, I don't know about North Carolina, I don't know about Maryland, but it seems like common sense. When you get married, you and your spouse belong to each other. Nobody else has any say. Hell, that's even biblical for you Christians out there.
Because he is a fucking deranged killer.
Oh, he is a fucking deranged killer. Michael Kaiser is a fucking deranged killer. He's in prison. And, well, can you say that matter of factly? Apparently you feel like you can. I don't know if he is. I don't know if he isn't. I don't know anything about his relationship. But I do know when you experience trauma, your memory is often wrong. When you explain that trauma to other people, numbness and cold-heartedness often appear the same. Judgmentalness, I don't feel like you're really in a position to judge the situation.
You do you so at the point where you got the phone call from him, like how long did it take for you to ascertain the rest of this info that you just kind of told me? Like, did it take a few days to like, because you have to obviously reach out to people, right?
Yeah, it took a few days. I spoke to the father. I spoke to the best friend. I spoke to other people.
So he spoke to other people who are emotionally devastated by this loss. Again, emotions take over.
And, we all knew the exact same thing. And then when we were telling each other the version of the stories that Billy told, they were drastically different. Everything from she was cold when I came home and found her to she still had a pulse. She was warm. I could tell she was still there. The paramedics ripped me off of her because I was doing CPR when they came in, and I handled the gun. That's literally what he said. So, like, the fact that he threw.
Okay. He has two different memories of the same traumatic situation. Understandable. Ask me what I did when I went down into CIC on the USS Stark in May of 1987. If you asked me that day, if you ask me now, if you ask me anywhere in between, what I visualize and memorize is completely fucking different. Okay, so we have paramedics. Pretty trustworthy source. They come to a scene. A person is either deceased or dying or recently deceased. They know the situation. The guy going through trauma, the guy explaining to you who has a emotional response, you're going to get things wrong. I don't know how much, but who experiences this almost every day of their job are the paramedics. Did Benghazi Rabbit handle a gun? Was he providing CPR? Was there a pulse? You don't know. I don't know. And Benghazi Rabbit probably doesn't remember accurately. But I'll tell you, the medical professionals that came in that ambulance and probably fire truck, they probably know. So why don't we get the report from them before passing judgment on something that you didn't see, you weren't there for?
I handled the gun into the story about doing CPR on the lion doesn't make any sense at all, and it's not something a normal person would say. Nothing that happened is normal. He was out 2 days afterwards having a
trauma is not normal. People experience and express grief in as many different ways as there are different people. But this part actually sounds interesting.
Nothing that happened is normal. He was out 2 days afterwards having a pizza party at a restaurant, laughing like he was celebrating.
Okay, picture if you will, a lot of people, instead of having funerals, they have celebrations of life. We had one for Holly's brother. Yes, Holly's lost a sister and a brother in the past year. Holly's brother's celebration of life, we all loved him very much. We were all devastated that he was gone. We laughed. We told funny stories about his life. We had pizza. We had a pretty good time. Not because we were happy he was dead, not because we were numb to the fact that he was dead, because some people celebrate a lost loved one's life rather than have a sad funeral. I'm not saying which way is right or wrong, but I'm saying it happens. Celebrations of life happen. I don't know what this pizza party's all about.
Just less than 48 hours after she died, and posting it on Facebook, and it made me sick.
You were at
And
by this point you were onto him, right? At this point you're like, yo,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, but all things come out in the end, and homicide investigations take time. And I got really frustrated when my neighbor Shaun Hall was killed by this idiot. This guy's name was Boise Neal, and we all knew he killed him. And we were wondering why the cops weren't getting him. Well, the cops were getting all their ducks in a row.
Cops are getting all their ducks in a row. Probably very factual. Whatever's going on with Mrs. Rabbit's departure, I am sure is being investigated. You're not an investigator. Bao's not an investigator. I am not an investigator. We don't know. We should probably let the police do their work. If we have information for the police, we should probably share it and let the investigators do the investigating.
And make it an airtight case before they locked him up.
Speaking of that, I did hear you say there's an active murder investigation into this right now, right?
Yeah, it's not closed. They're investigating as we speak.
Okay, let the investigators investigate.
And they're investigating it as a murder?
I mean, they're investigating. It's a death investigation.
Okay.
So,
that happens with every death. Okay, it's not a so. What I'm hearing, I may be hearing it wrong. They're investigating a death, not a murder. At this point, it doesn't sound like they even suspect a murder.
the outcome will be they determine it's suicide or they determine it homicide.
Gotcha.
There's no third option. But here's the thing. He gave a statement of events and a timeline, and they're going to go back and find out his cell phone location information and find out if that timeline is true or not.
That sounds accurate. He's going to tell them what he remembers, how he remembers it. They're going to track his movements, and that's pretty easy to do with these cell phones these days. Let them investigate. Don't come up on YouTube and tell 143 people and whoever else you're telling in other channels that you know things factually when so far, for the 23 minutes I've been covering you, you don't know what emotion is. You don't know what trauma is. I hope you never find out. But I do hope you stop being so judgmental. Let investigations investigate.
True. And then they're going to compare it to the time of death that the autopsy was able to determine that she died at. So they're going to look at a lot of different things. But the bottom line is we don't know what he was texting as soon as it happened or right before it happened or what she was texting him beforehand because he took her damn cell phone from the crime scene. So they're going to.
If he took her cell phone from the scene, I won't say the alleged crime scene, what you allege to be a crime scene, he took the cell phone from that scene. Guess what? It's 2025. That might strike some suspicion amongst the investigators, and they will investigate where her phone's been. Yes, you can do that, and you can see the text. You and I can't see the text, but they can through AT&T or Verizon or T-Mobile. They can subpoena those text logs, and they can pull that up. So let's all take a deep breath and just wait and see what the investigators come up with.
Going to have to get it from the telco provider.
There you go. You're aware that the telephone company will provide the information.
Do you think this is something that was planned, or do you
Yeah.
think?
A week before she died, she told one of her neighbors, who I spoke with, that she doesn't have long to live. She has a bunch of autoimmune disorders. That's what he told this neighbor. Then after she died, he said, "Oh, she blew her fucking head off, or she blew her head off."
I would say again, Robin Williams, apparently the happiest guy in the world on his world-facing image. Comedian, clown, intellectual, all the movies. I did a couple dark ones, but most of his career, stand-up comedian, he seemed very, very happy. And he found out he had a disease that was going to progressively get worse and more painful, and he handled it. So, a week before she passed away, she told a neighbor she doesn't have long to live, and she described some diseases. It makes just as much sense that she planned this as much as you're accusing Rabbit of planning this. We don't know. Oh, shit. It's time for me to go to work. I'll leave it at that. This is Shaun Porter panel 7/10/25 evening feed on Smurf Watch Transparency. I suggest you go watch it and determine for yourself. But it doesn't seem like this guy is. I think he's already formed an opinion, and any evidence he gets here on out, he'll make fit that opinion. I say let the unemotionally involved police, the detectives, the whoever does the autopsy, let them figure it out. No, they will. They will. By the way, on the Micah Kaiser thing, they figured that out too. It was a technicality. It was bullshit that got him off. Cheerio. Cheerio.
Are you mad? Are you bothered? Just a little? You seem mad.